Hey there, Friday Night Movie fans. Just want to introduce this episode. If you haven't been a listener to the show, I'm going to say don't. But go back and find one with our mom as a guest or one where we review a movie.
I disagree. Just frame it as this is it's a conversation. It's a bit of a different episode. It's fantastic.
This episode is more like just a phone call between. Yeah. I mean, every episode is like that.
With some great movie recs at the end. There's some stories. Right at the end. It's just not a typical episode. So
it's not a typical
episode. Go back.
Movie and TV podcast episode. This one is mostly us talking about.
If you want to get to know us, this is a great one to start with. If you want more movie, TV recs, go back to an earlier app.
Yeah, or just listen to the next couple because we've got some good stuff coming. Anyways, thank you for listening as always. Enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, a full energy episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. I'm finally recovered. Thank you to everyone who was worried about me, specifically Alana.
Did we make people worried about you?
Alana sent me a text
I was
message.
Worried about him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little bit dire, but I'm back. I'm feeling good. Becky and I went to see Matisyahu last night.
That's so fun.
It was great.
Thank you for sending me videos.
You know, it was such a wonderful vibe it was such a special experience. It was done at what's the famous synagogue?
Sixth and I Historic Synagogue.
Sixth and I Historic Synagogue, which is such a beautiful place. I'd never been there before. And just everyone was just so happy to be there. Everyone was dancing. It felt like there's something really cool about it being in the synagogue itself. It was just a really, it was a beautiful experience.
And his band is awesome. I 20 years, 20 plus years, I've heard his music, but I never saw him live, and I would go see him live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would
100%. Seen him live?
No, never seen him live either. I would 100% go back. I thought it was such a
How was his son?
They were really sweet.
His son is like the Zac Efron Backstreet Boys version of him.
I know,
true. Right?
He's like gorgeous. This gorgeous, what is he, like 20 or something?
No, I think
he's a teenager.
He's a teenager? Okay, he's a kid, but
he's like, is it illegal? Is it how illegal?
No, I mean, it was like really funny with like the floppy hair.
Yeah.
And the like cool outfit. And you're like,
it was like they made the Disney Prince version of Matisyahu.
It was great. And it was really sweet because his son sang the song and then he did backup vocals for him. And it was just, I don't know, it was a very beautiful parent child sharing the stage moment.
That's awesome.
I thought it was an awesome concert. I would definitely go see him again.
Now I will say because the Sixth and I Synagogue is first come first serve. It's like getting the synagogue on services and you don't want to sit like behind a pole on the bad seats. I was very, very, very like hachi-machi, like we are going to get there when the doors open.
Thank you for that self-awareness, because I would say hachi-machi is a kind description. Like Shai was basically like, if you don't walk fast enough, I will leave you behind. It was very intense. Like Mom and Allie and I peeled off at one moment just to pick something up at a store, which is another like sidebar story. But
what were you picking up?
No, we're walking. We had a 10-minute walk. We had exactly 10 minutes to get there, and Mom
they all three of them need to go to Marine Layer.
Allie calls me.
To get a jacket.
Allie calls me and said, "Your mom." No, to Mom's credit, she went and got herself. Like it was a great mom moment because how much do you love when Mom does nice things for herself? I love it.
I do.
But the whole time we walked by the store, we'd been in the store earlier, just me and Mom, and she tried on this like absolutely fabulous jacket. Lily, you're right. And the whole time we didn't buy it, and the whole time throughout dinner, and she's like, "Should I get it? Should I do it? I should do it. Should I do it? I don't know. I can't decide. Should I do it? What do you think?" And we walk by the store again. She's like, "Girls, should I do it?" With that like,
it was on the way to Matisyahu.
We were walking by, and so I was like, "Mom, you should do it. We have time."
Oh yeah. Now that I understand the story, but at the time we're so online.
Mad. You're like, wait, it's not a shopping trip. We're going to a concert. The old
Well,
biddies?
also, remember when we went to Bleachers and we ended up with those amazing seats, right?
Yes.
When there's a seated general admission situation, I get very stressed because there's no moving around once you have your seat.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, it's seated general admission.
You're going to
that's
synagogue on high
stressful.
holidays.
Yes.
So,
right. Of course, there's seats at the synagogue.
I'm like, guys, don't worry. We'll get there at 7. The door's open. The show's going to start at 8. And he's old. He won't, it'll be over by 10. Well, we get there and we wait, and everyone's looking a little bit tired.
He's our age.
Hold on, but when
a little bit older than us?
No, he's exactly my age.
Oh, so he's your age. He's not that old, Jack.
But Mom keeps saying, he looks much older than you.
He's a rock star.
Yeah, he's lived harder than me.
But
guy's got like 5 kids.
5 kids too, yeah.
5 or 6 kids,
he has 5 kids. Well,
or 6.
He was Orthodox for a while, so
it doesn't have to do with that.
You don't think?
No, read his Wikipedia. It's not because he's Orthodox.
Hilarious.
But the point is that once we peeled off to buy this fabulous jacket, the aggressive text messages going back and forth between Shai and Allie about
how are you going to hold the
too long? It's not that hard. You put a jacket down, you spread out. It's one of those synagogue benches. You just
I wasn't sure what the rules were. Allie, to her credit, just kept texting me back. Your mom is so happy. Don't be a baby.
Put a scarf down, Shai.
But also, Mom, in her incredible way of
put your purse on the other seat.
Wait. But Mom, in her incredible way of doing life, of course she arrives just in time, right when they're about to let us into the venue. And so
we were perfectly on time.
Everything was fine. We were 4 rows back, center.
The funniest is mom is the biggest seat holder I've ever seen.
And honestly, the jacket she bought,
pulling out.
The jacket she bought is big enough. It's big enough to hold at least 4 seats. It has a very wide berth.
and wait, what's great is that we sat in this row where there were 2 reserved seats. There must be some big mockers at the 6th and I synagogue. So there was these 2 seats reserved for A. Malotek. I'm sure A. Malotek doesn't listen to A period Malotek, MLO.
Right. Who were the reserved seat guys? You sat next to them.
So Mom is sitting next to those. And
they
because
must be
the room
on the
fills
president
up,
of the board. They must be on the board of the synagogue.
There's 2 empty prime seats. Every person who showed up late was oh, maybe these seats are open. And they'd walk up and they'd go to sit down, and Mom would have to go, look, you can sit there, but if you're not Abe Lotek, you're probably going to get moved. So we're sitting there, and Mom's she's I didn't know I was going to have to be the usher for this concert. And then Mom starts making up backstory as to who these people might be. She's like, who do you think these people are? What if they're and as the night goes on, they're still not there. She's like, what if it's Matisyahu's uncle? He's gonna get here and he's nobody's there.
Very concerned.
So upset.
So Mom's so good. She will take other purses out of her purse to be able to reserve enough seats at a movie theater to make sure she has the whole amount of seats that we need for the entire family to sit in the same row. But she also will be very nervous if there's a reserved seat, at a wedding, and somebody else might take that seat and grandma might not make it.
She took care of Amalotek.
She was just laughing so hard. So eventually,
that's what I'm calling this episode. Amalotek.
So Amalotek gets. So eventually
he shows up because he's not going to watch the opening act if he has a reserved seat.
Well, believe me, had I known there was an open, because I'm glad we got the seats we got. They were amazing. But the opening act,
I don't want to talk about it.
No, because he had a very positive message. But my kids,
he was. Yeah,
it was great. My kids were trolling me. My kids were trolling me the entire time. I was getting text messages from my older one from her watch saying, Dad, what the hell is this? Anyways.
No, you had to be, it was really good. You just had to be into that specific style.
Right.
It was all freestyle. It was really interesting. But if you
very positive, peace and love.
Style, really
what? Freestyle rap. A guy just came in freestyle. And it was great. And I think if you're into that, or if you can understand the words they're saying, it's really cool. But I think for maybe more less people with less exposure to
the people who came to hear one day that were between the ages of 9 and 11 or 60 and 70
we're not into this.
What the hell is this? And
interesting. I feel a lot of people could open for him. He has such a, I know it's hip hop, but it has a lot of and rap. It has a lot of
It
like,
could have a lot of
reggae roots, and there's a lot of
but it's
range
now,
in his music.
So we got there at 7. It's now 8:45, and the two guys come and sit down, and Mom.
Well, who's the other guy?
What?
Or both seats were just under
Aim Lotek. With Aim Lotek's name.
Oh.
And they sit down, and Mom goes, "Oh, are you Aim Lotek?" And they're like, No. Aim Lotek couldn't come, but he gave us his tickets. So Mom's like, Matisyahu is going to be really upset. He's probably out there looking for Aim.
Amazing.
And she kept doing like bits with them all night. And then I just as one by one, everyone got too tired. Who made it to the end of the night?
Who made it to the end of the night?
Mom and me made it to the end of the night.
With a couple of extra hijinks.
Yeah, with extra hijinks. So my plan, of course, to come to this show was to come to this show. It would be over. I would hop in an Uber and go home with my family. As one by one everybody left, I got left with this task. Mom and Becky had come downtown to shop earlier and had parked their car in an underground parking lot somewhere in Washington, D.C.
Somewhere between the restaurant and the venue.
So you had to return the jacket she didn't want.
No.
Go find the car.
Wait. As we're leaving, during the show, Mom and Becky, you see lots of rustling around because they 100% lost
Whoa. I want nothing to do with this. And I told you exactly where.
Becky predicted where it was, but at
where
that point,
it?
There was no parking ticket. So
it was in the car.
It was. But so Mom and I are walking back to the city, and I'm just looking at parking structures being like, is this one it, Mom? Is this one it, Mom?
Did she really not remember? It was the
No.
Can't she
in the end, she did remember the right one.
I can't believe
put an air tag. We should put an air tag on her car.
Okay, so I just want to say that I wake up this morning. Morning, and I just have a stream of messages about where's Mom's car.
Yeah.
And like how to find it, and then the last message is just Becky. Is Shai being like, I have no battery, and Becky being like, did anybody find the car? And I wake up and I look at it and I was like, oh, not again. And I just roll over. I was like, guys, with the car losing the
where
car.
Becky and Mom parked was the biggest parking lot. It spanned 3 blocks. And so as we go down in at like 9th Street, and Mom, I'm not convinced we're in the right lot.
Why didn't they take their own car?
There's a lot of parking lots in Washington, D.C. So I'm not even convinced we're in the right place. So we're walking, and Mom starts, Mom's got great sense of direction. So she just says, oh, no, I think we're over there. No, wait, no, I parked over here. And I said, we have no ticket. We're not even sure we're in the right parking lot. We're going to do this in an organized way and walk up and down.
Couldn't you do the emergency button on the
By the way,
remote?
You were not even, Lily.
I knew exactly.
You weren't close enough.
No, you weren't close enough.
Even,
you were on the right floor, probably.
No, we were on the right floor. Mom remembered P2, but I kept saying to her, are you sure it's P2 in this building? There are P2s on every parking lot in Washington, D.C.
And ultimately, the ticket was exactly where I predicted it would
Becky predicted it was in Mom's other purse, the purse that was inside the purse, inside the trunk of the car.
There was a
purse and a purse in the
But also, another great moment was on our way to finding the car, we went to one of those machines, those checkout machines, to see if we could call the people and say, hey, we lost our ticket. And Mom pulls a receipt out of the machine, and she's like, ooh, let's see if this works. And as we're driving out, she's like, wait, use that receipt first. Let's see what happens. Absolutely not. It took us 40 minutes to find
such a renegade. Again, why didn't you guys Uber home and everybody else take the car?
Because we all left at different times. Allie and the kids left the earliest because they weren't feeling great.
They weren't feeling well. They had a very long day.
I had to leave I had to leave about a half hour before the show ended because my babysitter had been on the clock for.
So Beck brought Dad home.
Like 8 hours. Dad needed to go, and I had to get back for the babysitter to swap out. She'd been working a really long day. I promised to be home by a certain time. And so then Shai was the last man standing with Mom and had to go find the car.
Mom did tell me she was really glad I was the one that was lost with her in the parking
But
lot.
I knew where I would have been able to find
Becky would have pushed
You
her
would have
down a
been
flight
able
of
to find it,
stairs.
but
She would have been so
you're a
mad.
really
Yes.
good sport. And I said, yeah.
I wouldn't.
Becky
not
would
have
not
been.
have been a good
But I do want to say,
Becky would have left Mom standing there and called an Uber.
The best is, though, is that if any scenario, anytime this comes up, of course, what comes up is in 1996 when we went to Universal Studios and we lost the car in the parking lot.
That's why I wasn't surprised when I opened my phone.
And Mom says, this is just like the Jaws parking lot. And I'm like, and yes, and if you had listened to me then, we would have found the car.
Air tags in the car. That's the lesson. We've all learned a lesson. Air tags.
Air tags on everything. People are like so worried about air tags. I'm like, oh.
Guy's air tagging his kids.
I've got air tags on so many different things. I got
an air tag on his remote.
Yeah, I do. I have an air tag taped to my remote control. Right.
Like the remote for his TV.
Yeah. I have like there's like an air tag like holder stick on that sticks to the bottom. Is
there
the most awkward
number?
It's the most awkward thing you've ever seen. It's like a remote control, and then there's this big honking.
There's gotta be a case for remote controls fit for an air tag, where you can add an air tag to it.
I mean, that would be
That's a great idea. Let's cut that from the episode and start working on it.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
I DIY'd it.
It's
I air tagged my dog too.
Shy's
I know
equivalent
you
of a DIY project. You air tagged your dog?
That's on his collar.
We bought one of those fancy leash things, and it was so complicated, and it was huge, and it looked like we had put one of those like shocking things on around his neck. It was so terrible, and then
the thing went like an up so he can speak to you.
Yeah, and then every time he'd leave the house, I get all these notifications, and I'm like, I just need to know. You know,
like if he's not stolen. If he were to get stolen, okay.
Or sometimes he's taking a nap somewhere in the house. Anyways, I don't know where he is. And so,
can you max out on the amount of air tags you can have?
I don't know, but I'm going to test it. I have so many. I have them in bags.
This is my favorite episode so far. It's just a telephone conversation with him.
I know.
I'm calling this episode. No, it's no longer whatever that guy's name was.
Malotek.
Malotek or Matisyahu. It's Call Me Maybe.
Speaking of Call Me Maybe, what do you think about the new Taylor Swift album coming out?
Do you think that I
think either of us have opinions on that?
I'm still listening. I just started listening to the one. I think
10-minute song she released.
No, I don't have time for that. I watched 1 second of that music video and I was like, ugh, I don't have time for this. The one that has Holy Ground on it. That's a great song. I love that song. I'm just discovering that album.
Here's what I think. I support Taylor Swift. Make your music and makes people happy. It's beautiful. Sure. I'm sure one day I'll listen to it. You're lovely.
When your kids get older, maybe.
God bless. Baruch Hashem, good work. I don't know. I don't listen to Taylor Swift, but I love how beloved she is. There we go. Is that good?
And Jack Antonoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Jack Antonoff.
It's more of like a time constraint. Like if I'm listening to something, it's probably maybe a podcast I'm trying to catch up on.
Do I have some Josh's complaints for us? Ooh. Sorry, you brought up podcasts. I am very upset about something.
Go ahead.
Can we discuss
murder podcasts?
Yes.
My favorite podcast, which is not a murder podcast, which is a happy podcast because everything is a goddamn murder podcast.
No, I'm not saying you listen to them. I was just saying, was that what you're complaining about?
It's a happy podcast. It's a cute, sweet 20 to 30 minute episodes. It's called Every Little Thing. You call in with your factual emergency, which is always something really funny and silly. And the host does a deep dive, and brings on all these experts and specialists and gives you the whole backstory of how why one thing exists in the world or why something is one way. And it's just a lovely little bite of fun information that no one is getting murdered on, right? It is just a nice podcast. It was a Gimlet podcast. Gimlet was bought by Spotify and Spotify killed it. And it killed it overnight.
You should write them a letter.
Isn't this is going to be
that's why we keep this podcast indie, people.
That's why we do it.
No corporate monster can come and
and there was no ramp down. And Char, you know how I feel about a ramp down. There was no warning. It wasn't like, we're going to have one more season. It was literally like one day to the next, it was gone. We got a 1 minute clip of
we know how you feel how the Expanse was canceled. We know.
The Expanse. No, the Expanse that was like
not Expanse. It was the one with Tucker.
Drift?
The force field.
The Drift,
the schlep in space. What is that one? Where things are floating?
Debris.
That's
so mad about
very upset.
So pissed. Don't give me one season of anything. Well, I've gotten tricked into so many one seasons. But anyways, but I'm really, really mad about that. I feel like it is wildly unfair. And then Spotify's adding literally like, I don't know how many, but I keep getting ads for all these new murder podcasts they're doing. And then they get rid of like my one little space of joy and happiness.
You should write.
I'm so mad.
Hey, write those guys and be like, do you want to come on our podcast and do
maybe Flora wants
an episode?
I mean,
maybe they want to come on our show for free.
Yeah.
And have even less listeners. That sounds like a great idea. Spotify said we didn't have enough listeners, so I'll go on your podcast. But I'm really mad about that since you brought up podcasts, and it has been. But I'm also really happy about something else if I can transition.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God. Josh would never be happy about something.
I had a pretty amazing crossover of Showendipity meets Found Money that I have been on a high
Okay. Sorry. Should we talk about shows and movies? Yes.
Yeah. I had a Showendipity.
Changing the title.
Okay, so to give
changing the title of the episode now. Again.
So to give people who maybe it's your first episode listening, if so, I'm sorry, this is not a typical episode. A Showendipity is when you and a show find each other at that exact perfect moment that you didn't even know you needed it, and it fulfills something in you. You know, it's like you weren't looking for it, and then it just arrived, and it was like exactly what you needed in that moment. Found Money is when you're already paying for a streaming service, right? And there's a movie or a show on it that you didn't know existed. And you watch it and it's awesome. And you didn't have to rent it. You didn't have to hunt it down. You didn't have to go to the theater. You didn't have to get a new subscription. It's just like already on your service and it's actually really great.
Or you found something really old that you never knew about.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had, like E.T.
Vlad.
Money for
God. So Vlad was he's been out of town. Two little kids, really tired, long days, had a couple of rough days. And it was one evening I'd gotten the kids to bed and I said, I need to go to sleep right away. But maybe I'll just put the TV on for a half an hour and just wind down. And I go, I'm going to do like 5 minutes of soul searching. What am I really in the mood for tonight? I don't want to just aimlessly put something on. I want to feel good before I go to bed. I said, truthfully, I'm all on my own. I want to watch something in the rom-com space. I want to watch something where I'm going to really ship some people and I'm going to enjoy that like warm, fuzzy feeling. That's what I want. All right. So I go to like Netflix. What do you have for comedies? And I'm searching like, and then I get sad at all the movies I've already seen and I can't watch again for the first time, which makes me very sad, by the way. Whenever I pass by movies, I'm like, I've already experienced you for the first time and that's done. And then I come across a title that I'm not interested in. It's called Ibiza. But the cast.
That's why
I will say Ibiza, like people who post an Instagram post with that word in it, I don't want to see.
The title's even worse. I think the official title is Ibiza Love Drunk. It's really bad.
Now that sounds though that like somebody else
titled the movie.
Somebody like the Netflix algorithm was like, you can't call it Ibiza. No one knows what this is.
Yeah. So, but then I look at the cast and it's Chilean Jacobs, Vanessa Bayer, Phoebe Robinson, Richard Madden, Rob Stark from and Phoebe Robinson, if you don't know her, she has the podcast.
And Michaela Watkins.
Sorry. And she has a small part, but she's really funny.
Michaela Watkins.
And I go, wait a minute. Now you've got my attention because this is getting into my algorithm space. And I read the description and I'm like, 3 best friends go to Spain. What? I mean, Ibiza, I guess that's kind of obvious. I'm in. And it is basically a best girlfriend vacation movie, like a road trip movie of these 3 women. And then there's like a super amazing ship in there. That's going to be really fun. And I don't want to, if you have questions, I'll go into more detail.
No spoilers. That's all I needed to hear.
All I have to say is Vanessa Bayer is she is a joy in every single thing she does. Phoebe Robinson is so funny. She is so funny in it. It was such a perfect it was the perfect combination of everything I needed that night in terms of feeling great and laughing. And
what did you watch it on? What service?
Netflix.
Awesome.
And I I had the best time with it. So I really loved it. And I'm not going to say that there were exact parallels to my adventures with Lily in Spain, but there were not dissimilar things. I would just say what was very well captured is the overall Spanish vibe, the overall Spanish energy of the people you meet and the way things seem to unfold somehow when you're in Spain. I think that was really authentically captured. That, Lily, when you watch it, you will, I'm sure, agree. You're like, oh yeah, shit like that happens all the time when you're in Spain. So
I can't wait. Yeah, I've heard of it. I remember seeing the ads and stuff for it. I'm
not going to ruin anything, but there's definitely a moment. There's definitely a scene where Vanessa Bayer takes 3 children's Adderall and works out on an elliptical till she falls asleep. And it's just so funny.
That's awesome. I would say I don't have any complaints. I just have good things lately. First of all, there's a podcast that was introduced to me by Chen Drachman, who is the filmmaker that made the Book of Ruth, who we will hopefully have on the show soon, which will be awesome. But she introduced me to an amazing gentleman named Mike Abrams, who has a podcast called The Wrong Cat Died. And it is... I
can't believe... I would never listen to that, but I for sure follow his Instagram, which is ridiculous.
It is so funny. He is so funny. It is all about cats. He's interviewed tons of cast members.
Like, I can't believe it.
And he and I had a chat the other day, and I can't wait to have him on our show and do some kind of collaboration, because he is...
I can't believe, I'm so happy.
But he's like me.
People. But my exact words. I'm so happy there are people out there like you. But
he's a different type of fan than me. But what he is not what you'd expect, like a Cats fan to be, just some sort of like theater buff, right?
No, it seems like the people that are obsessed with cats
has nothing to do with theater
and are obsessed with this play.
They just love retro.
Well, anyways,
like Transformers.
That is a great podcast. I highly recommend his interview with Terrence Mann, the original Rum Tum Tugger.
Whoa.
Amazing interview.
Whoa.
It's amazing. It's a great interview.
I can't believe it.
I have a question. In the interview, do they discuss whether or not he's a curious cat?
There's a lot of really great...
There is a curious cat.
There's a lot of references. It's very good. And then we watched, as a Friday night, my kids are old enough that we watched.
To say his post. I just looking at his Instagram.
His posts are so funny.
I just said I don't listen to almost any podcast, so I'm sorry I can't bring myself to listen to the one about cats. I can't listen to like the one about where forks are from. So however his Instagram,
they do the history of pants, not forks.
Oh, that's Becky's. Becky likes that stuff.
They do the history of pants.
It's a callback to the one that was canceled. However, his Instagram is amazing. He, that whole thing about James Corden being banned from the restaurant. Yeah. He puts a post of James Corden from Cats, and it's just breaking: James Corden banned from eating at the junkyard. It's very funny.
But apparently, it's amazing. Apparently, James Corden's been unbanned.
Well, he apparently called a guy, right, to apologize.
The whole thing seems very melodramatic.
Then
people are really
his ban removed, and then he went, and after he got his ban removed, being like, "Oh my god, I did nothing. It was not a big deal." So basically, essentially taking back his apology.
But publicly. I do really like Balthazar. I used to go there a lot when I lived in New York. It's a great place.
So there's that, and then we do real Friday Night Movie in my house, which is amazing, and we watched 13 the musical.
Oh, fun!
Which is a Netflix's production of a Broadway musical about this kid having his bar mitzvah. Has Deborah Messing, Rhea Perlman, and it was delightful. My kids gave it a full buy. The whole family gave it a buy, and the quality was great. These kids were amazing. They can dance, they can sing. The Jewish stuff is very authentic and sweet, but then there's also lots of like just teenage friend drama that's really cute. Anyways, 13 the musical, and Howie is the one who recommended that I watch it. So
I heard a review from your kids that there was a lot of kissing or talking about kissing.
There was a lot of talking about kissing.
This is not the Adam Sandler
parental
one,
warning.
Right? Bar mitzvah.
But I will say there is a ship. There's like a love triangle in it, but it is a side character's story. There is a lot of platonic, multi-gender friendship in this, where there isn't an implication of a love relationship in this, which I think is really important to model. And I think it's really.
Is this about a bar mitzvah?
It is about a bar mitzvah.
And then Adam Sandler's making a bar mitzvah movie.
He's making a bat mitzvah movie. I just saw that the title is called "You're Not Allowed to Come to My Bat Mitzvah."
Yeah, you're not invited.
You're not invited to my bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah.
What kind of look are we going for there with that title?
I don't know. We'll see.
That must be a working title, right?
No, it's based on a book, I think.
Lily, do you have something to recommend?
Gosh. I was just here for the fodder. I was here for laughs.
Okay. You just all right. So that's fine.
Jokes. I was here to play off of your guys' incredible amount of suggestions. I will say that Found Money movie, and I brought it up last week. So, assuming people don't listen to every episode, I'll bring it up again. I think Unpregnant is a total Found Money movie. It's completely if it's you already have HBO, I think that movie I would buy it. So I think that to have it just on a streaming service is fantastic. The only other thing I'm going to say is that I started Severance with Jose, which you both recommended.
I love it.
I can't figure out how to get my TV to go more than one speed.
Why would you do it? It's so good.
He walks down a hallway. And God bless you, Ben Stiller.
You have to watch it on your computer. You have to watch it on your computer or on your phone to double speed.
Because he walks down that hallway in that first episode. I think it's 8 minutes, or he's just walking down a hallway.
Right, I wasn't wrong. It needs a little fast forward.
It needs a little fast forward, which I can't do on my TV. But I really hope this is a big part of the story, because there is such amazing chemistry and the writing is so excellent between Adam Scott's character and his sister.
Yeah.
That dynamic and that, to me, it was like a light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, okay, I'll keep watching if there's promise that these two.
It's there, but it comes and goes.
Okay.
Because, but by the time, but it's worth it to hang on, because there's a lot of stuff with it towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it's pretty. Because John Turturro, Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken's not in it yet. I haven't seen him.
No, and also Cool Rick.
Fantastic.
Cool Rick is awesome.
Cool Rick is great. Okay, so I had friends over. I have to tell you guys this. I had friends over for dinner Friday night for Shabbat dinner, and we're I'm like cooking up a storm, and we're talking and stuff. And my friend brings up the fact that it's like.
Michael Chernus, by the way, is the actor. We just call him Cool Rick because that's who he was in Patriot.
But you could really feel like enlightened and laser focused and have a whole new experience in life if you don't eat. And I there's people that are like my friend. She was read an article about this guy that was saying that
you don't eat,
you don't
eat every day. I don't know. It's called the water fast or some mishigas. I don't know.
No.
But
you think the cavemen would have just not ate if they could?
So I go, oh my God, you have to watch Severance because they go to, I was like, imagine this very dinner party with no food. They go, and as I'm cooking, I'm making a babka, I'm making challah. And I was like, they go to a dinner party, but there's no dinner in the show.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah,
and they just talk. And it gets so uncomfortable. It gets very deep, but it gets very uncomfortable for Adam Scott's character because they're basically honing in and picking on him. And then Cool Rick goes, you see, if you had food, you wouldn't be able to get this profound in a conversation. And when they leave, his sister brings him to this. And when they leave, she goes, if I pay you $3,000, will you forgive me?
I forgot that part. That's amazing.
As she's making him a sandwich because he's so hungry, and I was like, that was just so well. He was like, "What the fuck is this?" It was so funny, but very subtle. It's very you got to really pay attention. And then
because I wasn't paying attention at that point. That's
those
great.
Jokes hit really hard, so I do recommend it. We just started it.
Oh, so and I'll just add that Allie and I started So Help Me Todd.
Oh, right. Yes.
Skylar Ashton Lipstein. And
you're the only one that
I call him by his real name.
forces him to not use his stage name.
Skylar Astin Lipstein and Marcia Gay Harden. And the pilot, well, we watched it. And so, even though I have no commercials on Hulu, we found the one way to watch something on Hulu that had commercials, so it made the pilot feel really long.
I thought if you pay, you don't get commercials. What
no,
is
but
that
it's
about?
a CBS show, and so it's streaming for free on Paramount. So I mixed up.
Sorry,
Anyways.
I can't believe the sentence you just said.
Anyways, the point is, the pilot's pretty good, right? And I want to keep watching it. But what I realized, because I love a show where a father and daughter solve mysteries. That's probably one of my highest level things.
This
is a show where a mother and son solve mysteries together.
Oh, wow. That's really
just
special for you.
Game. Yeah.
Yeah. Allie needs a rec. So she and I were talking last night. So if people are listening, if you can send us some recs, Allie needs a lighthearted 30-minute comedy.
Yeah,
we just the day.
We blazed through Reboot, and she's sad that
Working
there's only
Moms,
one
there's
episode.
6 seasons, and the 7th and last season is coming out now. What more do you want? Allie, Working Moms. She doesn't listen to this podcast, so you should.
I'll just text her. I'll text her right now.
No, I think she has seen Working Moms. It's a little heavy. I've watched the first few episodes recently. It's a little bit heavy.
Yeah, it's a little depressing.
One of the moms is has postpartum and is trying to kill herself in the first 2 episodes.
Oh, but Frankie, she gets better. She's all right.
But it's not.
No, but if you're past the, if she's seen it, if you're past the first 2 seasons,
making light of
it's
Working
just hilarious.
Moms.
It's pretty funny. Okay. The first 2 seasons, I would say, are more serious, and then it kind of, as they become more, comfortable in their parenthood, it gets pretty hilarious.
All right. You can follow Becky at
Paper B Princess.
Paper BK Princess.
Paper BK Princess.
Oh my goodness. You can follow Lily at.
You don't have to follow me.
Chi K Gomez Princess. No, just kidding. Just Chi K Gomez.
You can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table. You can follow all the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Friday Night Movie. FridayNightMoviePod.com. If this drops before Baltimore Comic-Con, Becky and I will be at Baltimore Comic-Con, October 28th to 30th, coming out. The theme music is...
You've missed Comic-Con.
Come to Baltimore.
The theme music is by What Does It Eat? Love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Bye.